A letter from our bishops. My dear brothers and sisters in Christ, with the publication of the Assisted Dying Bill, I should say the use of words, assisted suicide, or we might even say assisted murder, to be debated on the 29th of November, I ask each and every one of you to pray earnestly that the dignity of human life is respected from the moment of conception to natural death, and to write to your MPs asking that they vote against this bill. The great majority of us will have experienced the death of a loved one. We know the importance of compassion for those who are facing the loss of someone they know and love. The last journey that we take is so often accompanied by illness, which can sometimes be long and perhaps marked by suffering. The compassion that we are called to show, that suffering with, that is a most precious gift to others, calls us and all in our society to show understanding and respect to all who are approaching their last days, to their loved ones and to the healthcare professionals who give so much of themselves at these times. The proposed legislation will bring anxiety to many, and rather than offer choice, as has been suggested, will instead potentially impose significant pressure on people who are at a very vulnerable time in their lives, especially the elderly and those living with disability. While the proposed legislation may offer assurances of safeguards, the evidence is clear that in those countries, such as Canada and Belgium, to take just two examples, where legislation approving assisted dying is in place, it takes little time before the criteria for assisted dying expands, often including those living with mental illness and those who do not have a terminal diagnosis. The relationship between patients and doctors and other healthcare professionals is precious to patients and their loved ones. The pressure on doctors to recommend or enable such procedures will result in significant damage to this important relationship and potentially bring many who have devoted their lives to healthcare to feel unable to continue their vital work. So, we ask you to write to your MPs, urging them most strongly to vote against this proposed legislation. The outcome of the debate is by no means certain, and every letter makes a difference and proclaims the dignity of life and the need to protect the vulnerable. If you are concerned about writing a letter yourself, the postcards, as will be available, are there to make it easier for you. If you are writing a letter, may I ask you to call for effective support and funding for our hospices and for end-of-life care. The healthcare professionals who work in our hospices, hospitals and across the community deserve our particular support and prayer at this time. May pray for your MPs that they may recognise that their priority must be the protection and care for the most vulnerable in our society, and that supporting this legislation would result in a dangerous abrogation of their responsibility. Pray too for those who are seriously ill, for those who are dying, and for their loved ones, and all who care for them, either at home or in our hospital and hospices. On the morning of the 29th of November, let us all come together in prayer, ideally for a holy hour of prayer before the Blessed Sacrament, and redouble our prayer through fasting, that the dignity of life may be respected. Your bishops. To add to that, I would say, somebody said to me yesterday, the church militant stopped being militant decades ago. This is the one instance since being in the Catholic Church that I think that the bishops have come together and spoken with a singular voice and done so publicly and done so with passion. It is our duty, in a way, to not only uphold our Catholic faith, but to support our bishops as they make their voices heard, as they finally speak up and not give way to society and its norms in relation to this subject. This is nothing to do with choice and everything to do with taking away safeguards for the most vulnerable in our society. Research has said that over 40% of those who have gone down the path of assisted suicide in countries where it is legal, they have done so because they did not want to be a burden to their family. This is shocking, that they should feel that responsibility and feel that they have to make that decision. So write, sign the cards, make your voice heard. It is a turning point for our society. Once, if we go over this and this law is passed, it changes our society forever. So pray, sign your letters. Let's not have that reserve that often Catholics are so apologetic for their faith. And let's speak clearly on this subject. Our readings today remind us, timely as it is, who has created all things? Who brings all things to an end? Who is it that is God? It is the Lord. He is the beginning. He is the end. He brings about life, and he brings it to its conclusion. We are not to be God.